Well, a little more FAFO for the US after their tariff threats to Canada. Not only did we respond with tariffs, hold my beer, we took your stuff off our shelves, boycotted as many products as we could, tore up hundreds of millions of dollars worth of contracts, and the only thing we ended up agreeing to in the end after you folded in 3 days was the same thing we agreed to in 2024 when Biden was in office. But what you did is you pissed us off, and you told us, we can't trust you as allies and we can't trust you as trade partners. So we jumped on the phone, we called up China and we said, hey, how do you feel about a free trade agreement? And China responded with, we feel peachy keen. So now we're taking hundreds of billions of dollars out of the U.S. economy and reducing our dependency on the U.S. to send it all to China. So how do you guys feel about that? FAFO, right?
As a Canadian, I think it would be cruel to cut off the power to the U.S. What we need to do is flick the power on and off randomly. Do you know how annoying it'll be to have to reset the clock on the oven and the microwave every few hours? So annoying.
America, some good news. Canada is not going to carry liquor from red states. They're specifically not going to purchase liquor from red states, but they'll buy from blue states. FAFO at its freaking best. Go Canada!
Our President Donald J. Trump begins the day by asking Mexico to reauthorize a program that they put in place 4 years ago and claims that as a victory of his administration. And he ends the day by asking Canada to continue to put in place a border security program that they started during the Biden administration. Hey guys, my name's Will, your favorite rural campaign and elections expert, and let's talk about the continued grift. On December 17th of last year, the Canadian government announced that they were enforcing and implementing a new $1.3 billion border security program, a program that included many different aspects. It's interesting to note that regardless of the claims of the Trump administration, the number one article in this new border plan that Canada put together was to stop the flow of fentanyl across the American border, and Canada did a lot to make this happen. They put new AI technology in place that not only recognized fentanyl when it crossed the border, but also the precursor chemicals that go into it. In addition to that, they almost tripled the number of drug-sniffing dogs on the border. And while Trump and his minions are crowing about the improved communication that's going to exist under this new border plan, what they fail to tell you is that in this program already put in place by the Canadian government last year during the Biden administration, they were creating over 2,000 offices across Canada to, guess what, improve communication with local, state, and federal officials on the U.S. side of the border. And I couldn't help but notice all the flowery language that the Trump administration is putting out about the massive amounts of helicopters, etc., that are going to be used on the Canadian border for the first time in history. Well, what Donald Trump and his minions didn't tell you is that the plan already implemented by Canada, the $1.3 billion plan that was implemented under the Biden administration, it already includes an increase in helicopters, drones, anti-technology, and anti-aircraft technology. You guessed it. Everything that Trump asked for in regard to the border security plan is already in the plan that the Canadian government put together in December of last year during the Biden administration. Something else that gave me quite a chuckle, if you won't mind, is the president calling out that Canada is finally going to make efforts to stop money laundering and other financial crimes between our two countries. There's a specific clause in the plan put together by Canada, the $1.3 billion plan implemented in December by the Biden administration, called the Proceeds of Crime, Money Laundering, and Terrorist Financing Act, PCM-LTFA. You guessed it. Everything Trump said was put in this plan today to stop money laundering and financial crimes were already in the plan that Canada put together last year. I guess the one thing that Trump does get is his borders are between Canada and the United States. But even that gave me a chuckle, because guess who the Canadians are thinking about putting in that borders are position? The person already responsible for the border program. The $1.3 billion border program implemented in December of last year during the Biden administration. I guess if you change the title, you meet the qualification, right? Listen, guys, can we just be honest for a minute? The tariffs were a bad idea from the beginning. Not only did they tank the futures markets, but they caused the markets to crash this morning. The futures prices of food were climbing drastically, and Trump was getting an earful from his rich friends in the finance markets. And on top of that, you had agricultural organization after agricultural organization reaching out to the new Trump administration to tell them this is going to be the death knell of small farmers and ranchers across the country. And you don't have to be a farmer or rancher to know which way these organizations lean. They lean Republican. And when your friends are filling your ear with bad news and bad tidings, you're going to cave to the pressure. And that's exactly what Trump did. But we all know Donald J. Trump. He's not ever going to eat crow, cooked or uncooked. So what did he do? He called the president of Mexico, he called the president of Canada, and he asked them to do something that they've already done. I can hear the chuckles in the room in both capitals of each country, while their aides sitting around their desk must have been laughing their asses off, listening to a tough and strong and sturdy Donald J. Trump ask them to do things that they've already done in real time. You can't make this stuff up, folks. Hey, everybody, my name's Will. That's the news from the Back 40, and I hope you have a great day.
Canada currently is at a crossroads. Because our neighbor to the south has initiated a trade war against us, it's put us in a position where we either have to choose to collapse in on ourselves like a dying star or choose the road of excellence and national pride again. Here's the thing. I would like to remind everybody of the fact that our entire country is built on the fact that we slapped a railroad through the middle of a continent when everybody told us that we wouldn't fucking be able to. And that our history includes traversing through the Northwest Passage on wooden boats. We are the people who built a civilization on an inhospitable wasteland. For some reason, we've forgotten about that over the course of the last 10 years. We elected a government that put a Nepo baby in charge who did nothing but spend without giving a flying fuck about where that money came from. Demonized our history and culture and made us feel demoralized and weak. We are in a position where we are vulnerable. We are in a position where we are weak because we stopped investing in Canada, in her culture, and in her industries. The natural resource sector is drying up, our manufacturing is drying up, and Canadians are struggling to put food on the bills and pay taxes because taxes are too damn high and they can't fucking find good jobs. Now we're in a position where we either have to choose giving up or finding that sense of pride and excellence again. I don't care who the next prime minister is, as long as they are willing to do the work necessary to rebuild that sense of pride and excellence and invest in our industries. Time for us to lower taxes. It's time for us to bring business to this country. It's time for us to build manufacturing and to invest in the natural resource industries that made us strong in the first place. Canada could be one of the greatest countries on the planet. We just have to reach out and take it. Time for us to be proud of ourselves again. It's time for us to put our people back to work, and it's time for Canada to put Canada first.